It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Welcome to the Eagle Forum. I'm Mike Kerner, in for Gary Shorman this week. The forum brought to you by Hayes Med. And our guest this week, Max Haverfield. And Max, you've been on this show before, so you're old hat at this, right?
Well, that might be an overstatement.
Well,
sure.
I guess you're used to being in front of crowds and
yes,
audiences.
I do have that down.
You do that. Max is a singer, and he's got some shows coming up with friends, and we'll talk about that in the second half of the show. But a lot of people knew Max because, well, you grew up in Hayes. So
That's right.
You have a lot of friends here in Hayes and went to Hayes High and to Fort Hayes. Let's talk about what years did you go to Hayes High?
I was at Hayes High from 2006 to 2011. Was in all the musicals and took voice lessons and did everything I could in music during that time frame.
So what made you decide music was something that you had a passion for, that you loved? I mean, were you a little kid when that came about?
Well, yeah, it was kind of just part of the programming. My mom and her three siblings all played piano from 4 to 17, studied classically. And when I came around, I took piano and then sang in church at age 6, started singing solos and loved it. And that was just kind of what was expected as well. So it worked out well for everybody.
So then you decided to go to college and you picked Fort Hayes State University to stay right here in town.
Yeah, you know, when I was looking at colleges, I wasn't quite sure what route I was going to take. I actually did, alongside of music, I did a lot of architecture stuff, and I got accepted to K-State for architecture, but I just could not think at that time of not having music, and so I decided I wanted to go to Fort Hayes. That's where my voice teacher was from high school, a professor there, and I thought I have to try it for a year and see what happens, and it ended up that it stuck, and I wanted to go the whole way.
Well, I know you said you were in some musicals at Hayes High. Were you in musicals at Fort Hayes as well?
Yes, my freshman year I got a big break, and yeah, and ended up being Sky Masterson and Guys and Dolls. It's a great musical. And then from that point, I did a couple of more musical productions, especially in the summer. I had some programs I went to, but also dived more into operatic work and did maybe 4 or 5 operas at Fort Hayes.
So was that something that you found was drawing you in, the operas, or is there another type of music that you like to do?
You know, I am glad that I have done operas and will continue to do them over time. It was again what was somewhat expected, and it's a good foundation for learning how to use your voice well and making it last through a show. Singing operatically is an athletic type of thing, and so you have to be careful with it. So I did that and enjoyed it, and like I said, I want to continue that, but at this time I'm really doing more crossover stuff. Different people call it different things, but I call it classical crossover. Kind of if you're familiar with Josh Groban or Andre Bocelli, that sort of style where you take what you've learned in the classical world and apply it to some of the favorite tunes that people know.
So you went to Fort Hayes, you did the musicals, and then I guess did you get out of it for a little bit to get into real estate? Because you were in real estate, somehow that was worked into your life a little bit.
Yeah, after I graduated, I actually had a detailing shop back in college. I had that and I sold that, and I was ready for the next step. And I wasn't quite sure what that was going to be, but I had bought some land. My family has a ranch, and I'd bought a house in college, and I thought, you know, I'm likely to buy real estate in the rest of my life frequently, and I thought I should get my license and see if I can help other people do that. And it's turned out really well. And since then, I've been a realtor now for over 2 years, and since getting my license, I've really found that I enjoy focusing a lot on the land aspect of things and helping farmers and ranchers and investors in that way.
But you're living in the Kansas City area now? You've moved away from Hayes to Kansas City?
Yes, I'm in Kansas City primarily, and then my land is back out in western Kansas. So I go out, I have cattle and ranch land there, and go out there periodically. But primarily for my music efforts, I'm based out of Kansas City.
Well, we want to talk about your music efforts and this new concert series that you've put together. together that is coming up here in December, and we want to talk about it. I guess it's here, almost to Christmas, but we'll get into all those dates here in just a second and talk to you a little bit more about that. Again, our guest today, Max Haverfield. I want to tell you about some concerts that he's doing here locally in just a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break and be back right after this from Hayes Med.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Hi everyone, this is Gerard Welbrock inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk. We record it over the noon hours Mondays at Old Chicago, north of the interstate in Hayes, and play back at 6 o'clock Monday nights on Tiger Radio Mix 103. You can also catch it on Eagle TV's channel 14 and 614, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m., and always on HayesPost.com. So join us for Tiger Talk over the noon hour Mondays at Old Chicago.
Welcome back to the Forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week. By the way, if you've got any guest or show ideas, Gary would love to hear from you. That's at gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. Again, the show brought to you by Hayes Med. Our guest today, Max Haverfield. And I guess, Max, you grew up in Hayes. We talked about it in the first part of the show. You're in the Kansas City area now, but you've been singing and a lot of classical and opera music and shows. But speaking of a show, you want to do a show now, or you're going to do some shows around western and central Kansas here in the month of December, and we want to talk about your shows. What can people expect from your shows?
Well, there's 6 shows throughout Kansas. There's 5 here in western Kansas, Hayes, Hoxie, Oakley, Winona, and Kansas City. And basically, and Scott City, and it's a traditional program of Christmas music with a bit of jazz. We have 7 performers, all classically trained, but this show is for a broad audience. We have something for everybody, and the touch of jazz that I mentioned is actually my Aunt Gary Geist. She's a composer, and so she's arranged about a third of the music that we have, and has kind of a fun jazz style that keeps the show moving along, with a little bit more movement.
So what I want to ask you then is, I see it is marked as Max Haverfield and Friends.
That's right.
So that's how you're marketing it. Who are the friends? I guess you've already revealed one of them.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. It's a group of people, mainly people that I know. Carl Pratt, he's a Hoxie native and moved to Hayes, lived here for 10 years. He's our tenor. Ariana Hawley, another Hayes native, great voice. Let's see, Miranda Graves, she's on the cello. She lives here in Hayes as well. That cello adds a lot to this Christmas program. Mezzo-soprano is Bonnie Cameron. She's out of Hoxie, a Hoxie native. Went over to Germany and sang opera over there. And then we have 2 on the piano and then 1 on the electric keyboard. Reggie Whelan, she was a Fort Hayes professor, now retired, lives in Oakley. And Gary Geist out of Scott City, and she's on the piano.
So you are playing all this music. It sounds like a well-rounded show, and it's for all audiences, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a 90-minute program. It's fun. It's there's some I'd say there's some moments that you'll laugh, and then there's some moments that will be traditional Christmas where it'll kind of touch your heart. So.
Is there a place where they could find out the dates and where you're going to be, and then buy tickets?
Absolutely. On my website, maxhaverfield.com, you can get tickets, you can get CDs, you can get reservations for whatever program that you want to be at. You can also check us out on Facebook at just look up Max Haverfield Baritone, and we have lots of promo videos. If you want to know what kind of music you can expect, then that will give you an idea there.
Very good. Well, hopefully it's a great show and you guys do well and sell out every performance.
Thank you very much. I hope the same thing. So.
Well, and thanks to all your friends that are helping you out with it too, because I'm sure it's a lot of work putting a show together.
A lot of work, a lot of commitment, but we just had a rehearsal about a week ago, and it is in wonderful shape.
Very good. Well, thanks a lot for coming by
Yes.
and sharing this opportunity for everybody to see. Max Haverfield and Max Haverfield and Friends, you can see that. Again, thank you for joining us today on the Forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman. It's brought to you by Hayes Med.